Hello, and welcome to another episode of Break the Cycle with me, your host, Joshua Smith. I hope everyone's having a wonderful Wednesday. We're almost there, guys. The weekend is coming. You can smell it. You're going to enjoy it, I promise you. But thanks for being here halfway through the week to check out another awesome show with another awesome guest. As per the usual, we have toplobster.com as a sponsor. My brother from another mother, my homie, the coolest guy you know, the man who makes this show possible. It wouldn't look this cool without him, I promise. Go check out toplobster.com for all your wonderful graphic design needs, like this fuck around and find out hoodie. Here, somebody complained about it last night. Fuck around, find out hoodie that I'm wearing tonight, where you can get that stuff 10% off by using BTC at checkout for the discount, or you can join the Patreon, subscribe star, or become a member of this YouTube channel right here under any of my videos by hitting join, where you get into a secret, private, top secret Discord server where he drops all of his new designs up to 2 weeks early, and you get them up to 30% discount. Really cool stuff. Definitely worth it. If you're one of the lower tiered members, it really pays for itself if you're buying Top Lobster gear. And of course, executive producer of the show, anthemplanning.com, for all your emergency and crisis planning needs. Check them out today. See what they can do for your business, home, or personal life. They're doing a wonderful job that the government has historically sucked at. Guys, if you're here and you've never been here before, smash that subscribe button. Help me get that algorithm going. Hit the thumbs up. Hit the bell to get alerts for 5 shows a week. I promise you won't be too disappointed with my guest. Me, maybe, but not my guest. Never my guest. And we have another awesome guest for you tonight. He is a comedian, voice actor, one of the best impersonators I've ever heard, maybe ever. He does a really great job. He's been all over the country doing impersonations of our prior President Trump. He's a podcaster, host of Jackman Radio and New Hampshire Politico. He is Eric Jackman. How you doing, sir?
Josh, what an honor to be here. And you've made it when you've arrived at Break the Cycle.
Oh, yeah, sure. We started 6 months ago we started. So, it's still right.
I'm telling you, as the Donald would say, you've done such an amazing job here, Josh. You've built something. Look, I have built things. I built a lot of things. I built Ivanka's legs and her titties. I know what it takes to build something truly beautiful and truly great, and you've done it, Josh. You've done an amazing job, and you should be so proud of yourself.
Well, thanks, man. I really appreciate it. That means a lot coming from you, Mr. President. Absolutely.
Absolutely. And I never drank. I never took a drink, okay?
What do you got, an IPA there, man?
Yeah, I don't usually do IPAs, but I went to a Red Sox game recently, and a bunch of people saw me on TV drinking these. So I want to give off the appearance that I have some kind of endorsement deal with them, and maybe we'll see that, and it could be some kind of grift I can get going where I'll pretend I love their beer, and they can send me a check every month or something.
There you
something
go.
very, very Trump-like. Very Trump-like.
Yeah, you got to listen, dude. I get called a grifter quite frequently, and I'm telling you, man. I'm happy to be a grifter. I'm not really a grifter. I believe in all the things that I say, which is the opposite of grifting. But
Oh, I love that. Dude, we all have to have a grift in this world, okay? We live in the capitalist system, and we like it. We know it's not perfect. It's almost perfect. It's damn near perfect. But look, we all got to get our grift going, and boy, I'll tell you, no one had a better grift than those motherfuckers who made all the money off the Afghanistan war that finally has been shut down, that I want to drink to tonight, and I'm sure we'll talk about it. But I totally get what you say, Josh, when you're like, I got my grift going. And, my uncle said it to me. He goes, man, the grift, man. He's like, can I get in on the grift? The Trump thing you got going, man. You put a fucking cheap wig on and paint your face orange and go in front of a crowd and just get wound up and say crazy shit, and people pay you thousands of dollars. Can I get in on that grift?
You're like, hey, listen, you're gonna have to do it. You're gonna have to do your own impersonations. This is mine.
You're gonna have to find your own way. But,
well, I'd like to. So you worked on. Let's see. You worked on Ron Paul's campaign, Rand Paul's campaign, Mike Gravel's campaign, Tulsi Gabbard's campaign, Gary Johnson, I think 1 and 2, correct?
Gary Johnson, I worked on the 2012 one, and then in 2016, he was really not running like a campaign where they wanted staffers or anything like that. So I voted for him in 16. He had my vote in the general election. But yeah, I was one of his 5 New Hampshire staffers during the 2012 primary.
Sure. Yeah, 2016, Gary was, I hate to say it, man, but Gary was running just to pay Rod Nilsen. That was pretty much it, in my opinion.
Rod Nilsen, I mean, I've not publicly spoken about him, but that guy can go fuck himself, quite frankly.
You're not the only person who thinks that.
Josh, you want to talk about a grifter?
Yeah, that's the one. That's the one, dude.
that guy's a fucking grifter out there in Utah, whatever the fuck he's doing out there.
Yeah, if you guys haven't heard of Ron Nielsen, he was Gary Johnson's campaign manager in 2012 and 2016. And if you really want to know what happened in those campaigns, go listen to an episode of Tom Woods with Judd Weiss on it. The Weiss Report is what you're going to want to listen to. I think that's the actual name of it. Gary Johnson basically ran in 2016 to pay $1 million to Ron Nielsen. I mean, that's really what it was. He owed him all this money for helping him start businesses. It's shady ass shit, just fucking terrible shady shit.
Right, and Ron was part of his gubernatorial stuff. I mean, it goes all the way back with this guy.
Sure.
From what I understand, I'm pretty sure he was in on his gubernatorial stuff. Yeah, if he helped him start businesses and stuff.
Oh yeah.
But my dealing with him, I mean, basically checks. We're not bouncing checks. If you're a staffer and you're trying to get paid by the Johnson campaign in 2012 with Ron Nielsen's signature on it, you bring it to a bank and they look at you like, who's this fucking fraudster?
Right. Yeah,
so,
shady shit.
I'm glad to hear you know about that too, Josh.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And, that was before, 2012 and 2016 were before I was on the LNC. But when 2020 rolled around, I made a vow, like, we are not going to have Ron Nielsen around this campaign. As shitty as, the Joe campaign was, I mean, it wasn't a great campaign by any means. But that was one of those things I was willing to fight for. I know that Karen Ann Harless was ready to fight for it as well and keep him as far away from that campaign as possible. But anyways, let's talk about you, man. So you've worked for all these different candidates across 3 different parties, which is kind of unheard of. Most libertarians are like, oh, I'm only working with the Libertarian Party. I was a fan of Mike Gravel's anti-war stance. Obviously a fan of Tulsi Gabbard's anti-war stance. Huge fan of the Pauls. I liked Gary for what he was. I wasn't a huge Gary fan. I did vote for him, but they all have one common theme, and that's the anti-war stuff. But I want to hear your trajectory. I want to hear your, we usually start the show off. What is your story? How did you come to Liberty? How did you become an anti-war activist? All that good stuff.
Yeah. Originally was born in Massachusetts and moved up to New Hampshire in 4th grade in 1997. And the 2000 New Hampshire primary was already, running then, and candidates were coming. And it was kind of crazy to me to see that, like, all these famous politicians were coming to this small state to beg people for their vote and flip pancakes and kiss babies and do all of this bullshit. So I was instantly intrigued by that. And I was kind of too young in that cycle to really grasp it or understand it, but I had a pretty good, view of it, and I saw it. So fast forward to 2004, I'm in high school. I know that I hate George W. Bush's policies. I had 9/11 happened when I was a freshman in high school 20 years ago, and I saw all these kids around me getting so amped up to just sign up for the military, go fight the terrorists who did this to us. And that happened. That's kind of the environment that I was around. And then leading up to 2002, 2003, the neocons and Bush and company are starting to shout about the Iraq war, about Iraq, and saying we need to go into Iraq. He's got weapons. They're doing everything they can to tie 9/11 to Saddam Hussein and his regime. And it just, none of it made sense to me as a 15, 16-year-old kid. I said, wait a minute, majority of those hijackers were from Saudi Arabia and were part of Al-Qaeda. That has nothing to do with Iraq and Saddam Hussein. And people would call my brother and I were big time anti-war. We were loud about it. We were some of the singular voices in our school and our community who were vocal and public about it. And we were ridiculed. We were called crazy. We were called anti-American, terrorist sympathizers, anything you can think of, to slag someone down who's against the impending Iraq war. So obviously the war happened, and a lot of the shit we were saying that was going to happen happened. And I would just try to tell my friends, like, you don't want to sign up for this, man. This is going to fight a war for not to protect America, not to go after the people who did 9/11, but to serve corporate interests, but to serve the energy companies, but to serve Dick Cheney and the neocons agenda and all this bullshit. And there's no win in Iraq. There's nothing to win here. So I genuinely believed at that time that there was a difference between John Kerry and George W. Bush. And being from Massachusetts, I remember John Kerry. He was a senator there, as long as I was there, and I can remember. And I thought there was like, wow, we should rally around John Kerry. He's against the Iraq war. He's opposing George W. Bush, and if we get him in there in 2004, he and John Edwards will end the wars and bring peace. And, I'm a 16, 17, 18-year-old kid. What do I know?
Sure.
So I would call myself at that time, I was a registered Democrat the first time I could vote. I voted for John Kerry. I was a Democrat. And, of course, we know what happened with 2004. Kerry lost, and Bush was in there for another term. And I was bummed out, sad. And then usually when people get to college, they kind of take a turn for the left, become even more liberal, more progressive. And I went to a great school here in New Hampshire called Franklin Pierce University, which is right in my hometown in Rindge, New Hampshire, because I wanted to stay around and major in political science and be here for the New Hampshire primary, because I knew that was something special if you were into politics, if you paid attention to shit. Lots of cool people come through the state for presidential politics and as surrogates and stuff. So I went to Franklin Pierce as a political science major. And I was still hung up on the Democrats, and I still was like, John Kerry should run again. And I like him. I like John Edwards. These guys are great. And then I started seeing signs popping up all around New Hampshire that just said, who is Ron Paul? And I was like, Ron Paul, who is Ron Paul? I've never heard that name before. So, naturally curious, I asked around and I started Googling Ron Paul. And then that led me just down a rabbit hole. I didn't know anything about the Federal Reserve. I didn't think much about the war on drugs. And I'm just starting to read all this stuff about Ron Paul, libertarian. I never heard the term libertarian before, certainly before Ron Paul. And I started hearing all these things and realizing wow, okay, this guy is a Republican congressman from Texas, and he's against war, and he's consistently voted against war, and he's opposed the Bush administration's Patriot Act. He opposed the war in Iraq. He's for civil liberties. Wow, I need to learn more about this guy. And I caught wind in early 2007 that he was going to be coming to a house party in New Hampshire, and that's a big thing here for the primary. People and big boosters of candidates will just have the candidates come right to their house and invite a bunch of people, invite local press, put out some food, some drinks, have the candidate come speak, and then meet one-on-one with people, take pictures, do a question and answer. And Ron Paul came, and I think it was his first pretty big New Hampshire event for his 2008 run. And my brother and I and my friend Justin went to the event, and this was my first introduction to libertarians in real life. We had guys with both guns right here, holstered, carrying babies. We had women with purple hair, pink hair, and then you had old grandmas who were concerned about fiscal issues. And it was this different crowd of people all gathering under this message of liberty and curious to hear what this rickety old congressman from Texas was saying. So that was really my first experience and gateway into liberty and the notion of being a libertarian, and the fact that there are other people who might disagree on certain things, but big picture, structural things, we all have a lot in common and we agree on the big stuff. And so I was hooked from there. And then Mike Gravel and Dennis Kucinich started coming through New Hampshire for that primary on the Democratic side. And I was equally attracted to their anti-imperialism, to their record of opposing war and surveillance and the Patriot Act, and speaking out on those big picture issues that were important to me, but that I really became aware of because of Ron Paul.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. And, say what you will about Mike Gravel, the guy was vehemently anti-war, and his speech in the debates with Obama and Hillary on stage, and who Biden was up there, and they're laughing at this guy. He's basically calling him psychopaths. He's like, listen, what did he say? He says, when you first get to Congress, you're thinking, how the hell did I get here? But after you've been there a few years, you're like, how the hell did everybody else get here? and he's talking about the wars and how they, the Iraq war and stuff, and they're laughing at him. He's talking about, these wars that are killing all these people, and they're laughing at him in a debate. And so, that gave me a lot of respect for Gravel and, for what he was.
Oh, 100%, man. So I actually ended up, my vote in the 2008 primary did go to Mike Gravel. At the end of it, I ended up voting for him. And it's because I formed a good relationship with him. He came to Franklin Pierce, my college, and he spoke. And I had seen him in those first debates just rip Obama and Hillary and Dodd and Biden a new asshole. in those debates, just saying, talking about Iran. He's like, my God, Iran, you're saying nothing's off the table with Iran. You know what you're talking about? That's nukes. And he's like, you're talking about nuclear weapons, and that's been immoral for the last 50 years, and it's still immoral today. And he's like, Barack Obama, who the hell are we going to nuke, Barack? Who the hell are we going to nuke? And I'm like, who is this crazy old guy in the corner screaming at the shiny new bright object, Barack Obama, that the legacy Mockingbird CIA media is propping up as a savior and the guy who should be the next president, with crooked Hillary up there cackling like Satan, and Biden doing his thing. And Gravel just didn't give a fuck, man. This guy was so based. He had been in the Senate for 2 terms from 1969 to 81. And I was just transfixed on him. I'm like, this guy has guts, man. He's just telling it like it is. He's calling us out for the empire that we are. He's eviscerating the fucking corporate media that backs all the lies, that props up the lies and keeps people brainwashed and transfixed. And then at the same time, in the Republican debates, Ron Paul was doing the same thing, and Dennis Kucinich was doing it too in the Democratic debates with Gravel. So I had great respect for Gravel, Kucinich, and Ron Paul. I supported them all equally. I went to a lot of their events. I got a lot of one-on-one time with all 3 of those guys. And in the end, I got pretty tight with Mike Gravel, and I ended up becoming one of his New Hampshire drivers. So I would drive him around the state to campaign events. I got to drive him to one of the last debates at Dartmouth that they let him into. So I got to be backstage in our trailer. And, at the end of the debate, Obama came out all cool. He already had a Secret Service detail, because he's already a made man.
Sure. And
I'm in Mike Gravel's car because Mike lived in Virginia at the time. He just drove his car up from Virginia, and the campaign rented a house in Manchester, New Hampshire. So when I would drive Mike around, I was actually driving his car. So I had his car parked in the backstage area, and Obama just casually walks up after the debate with his flanked by Secret Service and saw me in the car and stuck his hand in the passenger side window to shake my hand in the driver's window. I'm like, God, that's ridiculous. Just met Obama like that. So that's the kind of access you have here in New Hampshire. And that's one of the reasons I've stuck around here and why I chose to go to college here. And it's what's really allowed me to have the proximity to these campaigns and really network and get to know the people I know.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Me moving to Iowa is kind of like that as well too.
Same thing.
Now that I'm here, it's a lot closer to the big campaign stops for sure. There's no doubt about that. So yeah, that's crazy, man. And most recently you worked with Tulsi in 2020, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. And how'd you get on that?
Yeah. So after 2016, I voted for Gary Johnson, and was obviously disappointed. Wasn't obviously not a Hillary fan by any stretch. If you put a gun to my head, if it was Trump or Hillary, give me Trump just because he's entertaining. And it seemed at the time he had anti-war instincts with some of the stuff he said in those Republican debates. But I felt kind of politically homeless after 2016. And then Trump got elected, and when he was president-elect, this obscure congresswoman from Hawaii, who was a Democrat, went to Trump Tower and met with Trump when he was president-elect. And I was like, wow, who is this Tulsi Gabbard lady? And I was very, very intrigued that she would be willing to cross her party and cross everybody and go meet with the king, at Trump Tower. And also, upon seeing that, I kind of remembered that she had also crossed the DNC in 2016 when she was co-chair and endorsed Bernie Sanders and campaigned rigorously for him and basically told the Clinton cartel to go screw themselves, which I really liked. So she met with Trump, and then she met with Assad, which I thought was one of the most base things I've ever seen, like a national politician have the guts to do. Like if the lead up to the Iraq War, a sitting member of Congress from either party had the guts to go to Iraq and sit down with Saddam Hussein and try and talk something out or try and avoid a war, I would give them all the props and credit in the world. So she kind of had those things going for her that I really admired and respect about her. So the end of 2018, she had come to New Hampshire a couple times and I wasn't able to see her. And then finally, near the end of 2018, she came up to New Hampshire for an event. And it's like, yeah, if you could either be hanging out surfing in Hawaii during your break or running around, New Hampshire in the snow, coming up here when it's cold, and you're choosing to be in New Hampshire, you're definitely thinking about running for president. So I went to her event and saw her speak, and I was very, very impressed with what she said about foreign policy and about her experience as a soldier and why she was against the Iraq war and all just the spending that we're doing, So I knew she was interesting and a breath of fresh air. So I went to her event, and then afterwards, I hung out afterwards. I got a few minutes one-on-one with her, and I was pretty much decided then and there. I'm like, hey, look, Tulsi, if you decide to run for president, I will do anything I can in my power to help your campaign and support you and get the word out about you. And after that event, she got in touch. We stayed in touch. And then, she announced, and it was fully on, man. My brother and I wrote a letter to the editor here in one of the big papers and came out early and endorsed her and just laid out the reasons why. And for a full year, we were, two of her biggest supporters and did everything we could here in New Hampshire to bring attention to her campaign and her message. And it was awesome. It was really some of the most fun I've ever had working on a campaign. And I met a lot of really cool and interesting people. Of course, Reed Coverdale, that's how I met Reed, through Tulsi.
Nice.
So, it was great, man. It was great to be part of a movement that had a national profile, where she was saying the things she was saying on the debate stage, calling out Kamala Harris's record, calling out the Clintons. I mean, anyone who's going to will publicly go to war with the Clintons like that, you have my respect.
Yeah, you got to be tough. You got to be pretty wild, man.
Yes, you have to be tough, and you have to be fearless and pretty based, and in private conversations with her, I just knew, I could just tell, man, she's not afraid of the Clinton cartel.
Sure.
Knowing how powerful they are, and everyone saw what they did to our campaign.
Yeah.
With the Russian asset bullshit.
Of course. And that's what they do. They did the same thing to Ron Paul, man. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Ron Paul. And we even had the national chairman of the Libertarian Party calling Ron Paul a Russian asset. What a piece of shit that guy is. What an absolute
Who was that? Was that Sarwalk?
Yeah.
So, isn't he in New Hampshire? He's from New Hampshire, right?
No, well, I think he's originally from Arizona. He started with the Libertarian Party in Maryland, which is always kind of sus because
But he originally started at Langley where the CIA trains, right?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying, the NSA's up there, Langley. There's some places you can come from there.
There's some deep state stuff, deep anal probing, deep state kind of stuff, Josh, going on that we don't want any part of. Okay.
Exactly.
I don't know him.
That's what I'm saying. He came from there, and then all of a sudden started getting involved with the Maryland Party. Then moved to Colorado, became the chair of Colorado. Then moved to Arizona, became the chair of the National Party. It's like, yo, dude, you were sent from Maryland. We get it. We know what the fuck
what's going on here.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So he called Ron Paul a Russian asset.
Yeah. What a piece of shit that guy is.
Dude, that's so stupid. I don't know if people even understand how stupid that is.
Yeah, it's bad enough to go after the Mises Institute the way he does, like the Tom Woods and Lou Rockwell and going after Eric July and Dave Smith and all these people, but going after fucking Ron Paul, you got to be a real fucking coward to go after Ron Paul.
First of all, you don't fuck with the Mises, but you definitely don't fuck with Dr. No.
Yeah, it's like this man has been around for how long and working in politics for how long, and he's been on full display in this country for how long, and you're going to call him a fucking Russian asset? Go fuck yourself.
Well, exactly. And not only that, just like Tulsi, two veterans who wore the uniform, served our country.
Yep.
Okay, willing to sacrifice, put it all on the line, and you're going to call. And the Clintons, the fucking nerve on the Clintons, man. But that was one of the best parts about Tulsi's campaign. On top of being with this amazing based, just really unique figure in American politics to come around. And I've met them all.
Yeah.
But someone who's willing to just go to war with the Clintons like that and call them out, and calling her the rot of the Democratic Party. I mean, that was amazing. Suing her, I knew the lawsuit wasn't going to go anywhere, but just publicly doing it. Because, during the 2016 campaign, Trump's like, lock her up. We're going to lock her up. We're going after Hillary. It's like when Hillary was like, it's just so good that someone like Donald Trump's not in charge of law enforcement in our country. He's like, yeah, because you'd be in jail.
That was probably the funniest part from any debate, dude. That shit had me rolling.
Gosh, that was everything when the King did that.
Oh my
God.
But
the King was just all rhetoric, and then when he got in there, he didn't go after the Clintons. He didn't do shit against them.
He didn't do anything that he said he was going to do.
Tulsi actually sued that bitch. So you got to give her some credit for that, man.
Yeah. Trump was a huge disappointment to me. I was talking about this last night on the show. I had Patriot Jay on, and he's a big Trump supporter, conservative rapper, and I was talking about how I was living in Southern Washington during the 2016 election, right across the river from Portland, Oregon, and I couldn't gave two shits which one of them won. I was working for Gary Johnson at the time, and I hated, I was like either one of these people are sending us to World War III. Like, I know what's happening. You know what I mean? In my opinion. And right. I'm watching the TV. It was late at night, if you remember, when he got elected, on the West Coast at least. And he got elected, and I before I go to bed, I realized he gets elected. And you could literally hear the collective screeching of Portland echoing off the Willamette River and the Columbia River, and it was just like
great salt harvest,
dude. And I was just like, you know what? This is kind of funny. I hope he does the things he says he's going to do, right? And then it was just a huge disappointment. And there was nothing to me for I think that Trump did a few good things. I'm never gonna badmouth a president when he does something good, like Joe Biden pulling out of Afghanistan. That's a good fucking thing, and I'm not going to talk shit about him. As bad as when he's saying his speech, something inside of me, this natural contrarian, was like, listen, dude, like, I know they're pulling out for some fucked up reason. Now I got me questioning it, but no, I gotta go. You know what, Joe? Good job, dude. Fucking job well done. But when the biggest cowardly thing that Trump did was when he walked out of office and didn't even talk about pardoning Snowden, Assange, and Ross Ulbricht. That killed me. That killed me, dude.
Whoever it was working with Trump and his psyoping and trying to sheepdog some liberty people who were concerned about privacy and whistleblowing, they did a fantastic job with that hopium, dude. Because I bought into some of it, man. I'm like, no, the king, last minute, the king is going to do a big fuck you to all of them. If he's really against the deep state, against the intelligence agencies and the NSA and Brennan and Clapper and all those cocksuckers, he'll at least help Assange. He'll at least throw Snowden a bone. Or Ulbricht, so, if he has some love for liberty, right? You know what I mean. But he didn't do any of it, and we were all disappointed about it. He didn't do anything with the Kennedy files. Nope. He didn't do anything relating to Saudi Arabia and 9/11, because of course he didn't. He signed the biggest goddamn arms deal with Saudi Arabia that we've ever seen. Yep. Like in the debates, he's like, you're going to find that Saudi Arabia was involved even more big league in 9/11 than people even realize. Okay. So like when he was saying shit like that, I'm like, God, this guy's a wild card, man. He's saying some pretty cool shit. I'm liking it.
Yeah. It was an anti-establishment feeling. You know what I mean?
Yes, it was incredible. And Trump is the greatest salesman. He could fucking sell water to Kevin Costner in Waterworld. You know what I mean? Like he is. My dad was a car salesman. He sold furniture. My dad was a salesman. I know a salesman when I see him. But my dad wasn't a shyster like Trump is. Sure. But God, yeah, he just, the 2016 primary was incredible. And I won't lie, man, after Rand flamed out in Iowa and then didn't even make it to New Hampshire. So yeah, I was here in New Hampshire helping Rand's efforts. I was making phone calls. My brother and I endorsed him. We wrote a letter to the editor. We were telling everybody about Rand Paul. But after he flamed out, I'm like, shit, what do I do now in the New Hampshire primary? I'm not going to vote for John Kasich. I'm not going to vote for Marco Rubio. I'm not going to vote for Chris Christie. Yeah. I was like, you know what? Just to keep this crazy train going, I'm voting for Trump. Yeah. I'm going to vote for Trump in the New Hampshire primary. And I did. Whose show is it? The One American podcast. There.
Oh, Chase Geiser.
Great. Chase is awesome.
Yeah, I like Chase.
And Chase's podcast is the first time I've publicly acknowledged and admitted that I voted for Trump in the 2016 primary, and your show is the second. So
nice.
Josh, you should feel this is very historic stuff.
We got a pretty cool super chat from our friend Reed Coverdale over at the Naturalist Capitalist. He said, "We need wool. Thank you for having Eric on. Now that you've had 3 of the horsemen on, we'll have to have you on as the 4th horseman, Josh." I'm ready. I'm ready, man.
100%. We would love to have you on the 4 Horsemen is a based institution that happens but once a month. Yeah. And I would argue it's one of the most hotly anticipated, talked about amazing things that could ever happen once a month. And Josh, I think you'd be a great fit as a 4th Horseman. I think you'd be amazing.
Well, I appreciate it, man. I've had all 3 of the normal constant Four Horsemen on the show now. And
Yes.
In fact, when I had Ryan Dawson on the last time, it was a four person show. It was my first multiple person show. That's why I had to switch over to using StreamYard, which I'm glad. The video is much better on StreamYard. Everything looks a lot better, and I got more control. But it was a good show, man. But it was a conspiracy show. It was fun.
Yeah, I haven't watched that yet, but yeah, what'd you call it? Conspiracy Couch?
Conspiracy Couch, because the couch.
I like that.
Couch. I got the couch. So.
Yeah, and that's a loaded term, man. The fucking CIA made up conspiracy theorists. They made that term up to discredit people that wanted to talk truthfully about the Kennedy assassination or question what happened to Kennedy.
Right.
And they just paint you with that. But it's lost. It's like calling people anti-Semitic. It's lost its power. It's lost its luster. It doesn't stick anymore, man, because the people who were conspiracy theorists, they've actually ended up being right about everything.
Yeah. Yeah. How many times has Alex Jones got to be right before we just realize that?
Josh, I ate some chili that gave me some magical powers. It gave me some magical gas. It was amazing stuff. And I'm doing this 16, 17, 18, 29 hours a day, Josh. You understand? You do your show. You got your kids. I got my kids. I'm trying to feed my family. I'm trying to fight the New World Order. I'm trying to preach liberty. I'm talking about things that the deep state doesn't want you to hear. You go to InfoWars right now, type in promo code Break the Cycle. You get 30% off anti-New World Order dick pills. They'll keep you hard when you're fighting the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds. InfoWars.com.
Man, you're so good. You got to do a Tulsi. You got to do a Tulsi impersonation. That's the hard one.
Oh yeah. Well, my Tulsi impression is when she goes on Tucker Carlson. So Tucker's like, "We're joined by Hawaii Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard. She's a maverick. She bucks the political parties at war with the Clintons. Tulsi Gabbard, thank you for joining us." And Tulsi's like, "Aloha, Tucker."
Every time, dude. Every time, man. Tucker's one of those people, man. He'd it's like, God, Tucker's so bad on some things, but when he's good on things, he's really fucking good on things.
Yeah, he's cute too. His hair is thick. He's Tiger Beat cute. He's like a model. And he looks to the case just like.
His faces were the best part about watching Tucker.
He's never heard what the person's saying ever before. He's just like. Josh, that is absolutely fascinating.
Did you see the guy accost him at the bait shop though?
I heard about it, but I didn't watch that. What was that all about?
It was, I don't know, man. It was some guy walking up to him and he was whispering. He was like some big guy. Everybody thinks he was like sent there from the feds. But he's like got right in Tucker's face. And he's like, "You're the worst person in the entire world." And Tucker's like, "Oh, okay, buddy. Okay. Yeah. And he pats the guy on the chest and tries to walk around him. And the guy kind of follows him. And he's like, "Oh,
really?
All right." And Tucker called the guy son.
Oh,
he's like,
Jesus.
"All right, son. All right, okay, buddy." It was such an alpha move, dude. It was hilarious the way he put his hand on his chest. I was like, "Okay, son."
So he was a Fed plant. What do you think? Sarwalk sent him?
Oh, I don't know, dude. I don't know who said it. There was just that was the talk online, was that he was some kind of Fed sent there.
It very well could have been that the dude randomly ran into Tucker Carlson at a store and he was just like, "You know what? I'm going to go fuck with him."
There's no doubt about that. I mean, it's Tucker Carlson. I'm sure it happens more than not, to be honest with you.
Yeah, no, you got to love Tucker, man. He's fun. I mean, all of it, all legacy media, Mockingbird media is just entertainment, man. And sometimes they say some good stuff and some good things come through. But I got to believe Tucker Carlson's father was like old school CIA.
Something, dude, for sure.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he was like Mockingbird media, CIA type dude.
Yeah, it's crazy to me that he's the one that will actively stand up against the military-industrial complex on TV.
I've said this to Reed a number of times. It's fucking insane to me that it very well could have been Rand Paul on the golf course with the king and Tucker Carlson on his show speaking directly to the king that thwarted war with Iran.
Yeah, it's possible. It's definitely possible.
I mean, with Trump, he has the gold memory, the attention span of a goldfish. It's just like, look, I was just talking to a really smart guy. It's the guy who brought him his sandwich at lunch. And he was telling me, look, we shouldn't attack Iran. They had nothing to do with 9/11, okay? And they're not really that bad. So don't listen to Benjamin Netanyahu and the neocons. Don't attack them. So I decided, look, this cheeseburger he brought me was so good. He must be right about foreign policy. Okay? So we're not going to attack Iran. And the Matrix is so fucked up, Josh, that could be what happened.
You never know, man. Or it could have been one of the taco bowls at Trump Towers,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The picture with the taco bowl, he's like,
dude, it was one of my favorite.
I love the Mexicans. Try the taco bowl at Trump Tower, okay? And also, Caitlyn Jenner ate one of the taco bowls and she had to use the bathroom. I said, Caitlyn, come here. You can use the bathroom anytime, okay? I don't care which bathroom you use. You can use the girly one or the man one. Go in there and use the bathroom. I don't have a problem. You know,
it's fucking hilarious, dude.
It's just all incredible. I'm here for all of it, man. We live in a peak clown world matrix simulation, and at the end of the day, the only thing that makes sense is liberty. The only thing that makes sense is to promote letting people do what they're going to do as long as they're not hurting or fucking with other people.
Right.
And that's like our bottom line, man.
Yeah, I agree, man. And I had Jack Hunter on the other night, who's you know, I'm sure you know who Jack Hunter is, and he's a big wrestling fan, and you know he's talking about how, you know, politics is wrestling. I mean, it's really wrestling. It's the same thing. It is. And our good friend Jesse Ventura will tell you the same thing, Josh. Yeah.
they're out there in front of the cameras saying they hate each other and they're fighting over this and they're filibustering that and they're doing this. And then when the cameras are off, they're in the cloakroom blowing each other, eating steak, saying, boy, we fooled them. we fooled them, didn't we? We fooled. It's all wrestling. They're gangs. Democrats, Republicans. They're gangs. And the body, just like what Jack Hunter said, man, the body is right on about that. Politics is wrestling in our country. And a lot of people are getting hip to it and understanding that's what it is. And they don't care about us. They don't care about you. Like George Carlin says, they don't care about you. They don't give a fuck about you.
It's a big club and you ain't in it. Jack,
you ain't in it.
Yeah,
you ain't in it.
Yeah, it is really, really funny, man. We had another super chat. We can talk a little bit about this. Not like YouTube channel ending talk about it, but we can talk a little bit about it. Maxim Perkunkov sent a $2 super chat, man. Thanks. He said talk 9/11 with Jackman. He's super red pilled. Yeah, man. What's your thoughts on 9/11, dude? We've had that talk on the show a few times, but
sure. Well, we're coming up on 20 years, man.
Yep. Very close.
That shit happened 20 years ago. I was a freshman in high school, and that May I had been in New York City on American Heritage Tour through the YMCA, and I saw the World Trade Center. It's the last time I ever saw them. And I just remember thinking, God, those buildings are like magnificent. My point of comparison was Boston, because the tallest buildings in Boston are the Hancock and the Prudential. They're 50 stories. So these buildings were 110 stories. Imagine stacking the Hancock on itself and then adding another 10 stories. So when I heard on 9/11, my principal comes on the intercom and says, the World Trade Center, both World Trade Centers have been hit by airliners, and they're gone. They've been completely destroyed, and another plane has hit the Pentagon. The scale of it, man, was just hard to fathom. So I knew it was a seismic event, and it was something that was going to forever change not only our world and way of life, but just everything. But when you look at what they did, how they used 9/11, and they brought in the Patriot Act and Homeland Security, and there was little to no resistance. Of course, Dr. No was one of our only guys speaking out against it. Cynthia McKinney, who's very based. I've had Cynthia McKinney on my show. I don't know if you know much about her.
I do, yeah, absolutely.
Oh, she's a based queen. But 9/11, man, I mean, my bottom line about 9/11 is that they knew that there was something coming. They knew that they were going to attack us. And there's absolute proof that these guys were let into our country. There's so many different strains of what happened on 9/11 for the attack to happen and to be pulled off. And I just tell people that it could not have happened without complicity of some people within the United States, whether they were in government or outside of government, in a corporate setting, plugged in through that world. You know, certainly the insider trading with the put options with the airlines shows you that a lot of people knew something big was happening involving these airlines.
Yeah, I think a lot of people don't. A lot of people still don't understand that, and I think with the big short squeezes that happened with GameStop, a lot of people woke up to understanding what stocks are and how stocks work. So my first thing was like, hey, go Google what stocks were hugely shorted right before 9/11. That's all I'm going to say. Go and Google which ones they were.
That's right. That is people betting that these specific airlines are going to take a huge tumble this week.
And boy, did they.
So, Oh God, no pun intended.
Yeah.
So I point people towards the put options with the airlines, and then I point people towards the war games that were happening with simulated hijackings going on the day of commercial airliners mid-flight being hijacked and then flown into big targets. So I don't know what the odds are of those war games happening the same day that those hijackings occurred and that those planes were flown into those buildings. That's not a coincidence. So you have that angle, and then you have the funding angle of the Saudis who were here by elements of the Saudi royal family and the Saudi government through a guy named Prince Bandar, who was George W. Bush's ambassador to Saudi Arabia, and his wife, a woman named Princess Haifa, who funneled money to two of the hijackers out in California. And those two guys, Khalid Al-Mihdhar and Nawaf al-Hazmi, lived with an FBI informant. So they knew these guys were here, man. I mean, Jesus Christ, you could have looked those guys up in the phone book. Their names were in the phone book. So they knew they were here. They were allowed to come here. You have the Florida angle with all those guys training at Huffman Aviation down in Florida, which was clearly part of another operation with drug smuggling and something intelligence related. And then you have, this is where you really run into hot water. I don't know how much we can talk about it right now with your channel, but the Israeli angle to it, yeah. Which Ryan Dawson has done some of the most amazing research on it, digging up Freedom of Information Act, FBI files. And you have the young Israeli men who were employees of Urban Moving Systems, a dummy front, Mossad front moving company based out of New Jersey, who were in place, set up, filming the World Trade Center before the first strike at 8:46 in the morning. So how do those guys know to be there? How do they know to be there filming and set up that something was going to go?
The filming has always thrown me off, and I always wonder why more people didn't talk about the fact that, like, there was already people filming these buildings before they were hit, like from the street.
Right. So, exactly. So these guys were in place, and a woman saw them and called the authorities. She gave them their license plate, and the New Jersey State Police issued a bolo, be on the lookout for this van. It was a big moving van with Urban Moving Systems on it. And she saw these young men filming, flicking lighters, cheering and celebrating when the planes hit the towers. So that raised her suspicion, as it would raise any person's suspicion.
Of course, yeah.
And the New Jersey State Police tracked the van down afterwards and pulled them over and arrested them. And they said, "Oh, we're not your problem. The Palestinians are your problem. We're Israelis. We deal with terrorism on a daily basis." So you just add all that up, man. You add all that up, and you add up the lies and the manipulation and the obfuscating and the cover up of everything that went on. And that's not even getting into fucking controlled demolition and bombs. And you don't even need to talk about it. You don't even need to go there with that kind of stuff.
Right.
There's already so much, man, that is proven, that is out there, that we need to talk about more and not be afraid to talk about.
Well, and it's people are always talking about the steel beams and the jet fuel and stuff like that. Yeah. And it just makes us sound crazy because there's so much other stuff that's already been proven that you can just point to and be like, hello.
There's way more to solid stuff, Josh, than talking about a building being a controlled demolition or detonated or bombs in the buildings. I don't go there with that. You don't need to go there. Building 7's fishy. There's a great documentary about Building 7 called 7 that Dylan Avery created, where University of Alaska Fairbanks, a guy who knows way more about buildings and engineering and architecture, they did a whole study out there for years, and they basically disproved NIST's conclusion, the National Institute of Standard and Technologies, who said fire brought down Building 7. So you can go down that path if you want to and look at it if you're interested in that. But I just think the stuff that Ryan Dawson has talked about, the stuff with Florida, with the hijackers, the Saudi connections, what the family members themselves have said and have long fought for, that's the stuff we should focus on. And if you want to red pill somebody on it or kind of bring them in without unleashing a fire hose and scaring them away.
Right.
I think that's a really good place to start.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you, man. It's so hard because, so many people just like to throw around that term conspiracy theorist.
Sure.
So many platforms like to throw us off for even mentioning stuff like that. And it's like, there's things that are proven that you can talk about that they can't disprove, and they can't call you a conspiracy theorist for talking about it. So it's important, man. And I think, Dawson's got a couple of good documentaries himself that he's put together if you want to check them out.
They're called He'll Hate Me if I don't remember the name of them.
Yeah,
I've watched them both. War by Deception.
Yep, that's one of them. And
there's one of them.
The other one's like 5 hours.
Yeah, they're long.
Yeah.
There's so much information in them. But if we could somehow get that repackaged and put out there, but all the information's out there, man. If people will not be lazy and not be afraid to go there and look at it, you'll realize that 9/11 was really a hand-in-glove operation that was allowed to happen. And there were hijackers. Saudi Arabia was involved. There's a Pakistani angle with some of the funding. The Pakistani ISI chief at the time, a guy named Mahmoud Ahmed, through an intermediary wire transferred $100,000 to Muhammad Atta, the lead hijacker, for part of the funding for the operation. That's a string you can pull on it. And it's all there, man, if you want to look at it and get past the bluster and the bullshit. So I recommend people look at all of that.
Yeah, absolutely. Empire Unmasked is the other.
Empire Unmasked. Yes.
Thank you for that, Reed. I appreciate you. Okay, let's move on past 9/11. We've opened that up. Thank you for the super chat. And you guys know if you drop super chats on any show, I'm typically going to ask them of our guests almost all the time. So I appreciate you guys supporting the show that way. It really helps us a lot. Let's talk about Afghanistan. Okay, Biden pulled us out of Afghanistan. Trump started the deal there. Okay, what do you think Trump is saying about the pullout of Afghanistan right now?
Well, it's like a Bill Clinton pullout. Very messy and very disgusting. Okay? Jesus, Trump is, we got to give Trump some credit, man, because he initiated this process. He engaged with the Taliban. Pompeo's a ghoul. I'm no Pompeo fan, but he sent Pompeo over there to meet with these guys and start some kind of structure of a deal. Put some kind of plan in place to just get the United States the fuck out of Afghanistan and shut this thing down once and for all. It's messy. And like you said, Josh, earlier, dude, I'm no Biden fan, but I'm giving Joe Biden this is like the best thing I've ever heard the guy say in over half a century. He's been in public office, and he's been in Washington and a power player, 8 years as vice president, 40 plus years in the Senate, now president. I watched that speech, man, and I was like, yeah, Biden, good for you, dude, for sticking to your guns and not backing down from this and getting us the hell out of there. But yeah, Trump is, I think Trump, the narcissist that he is, and the little bit of attention and energy and effort he gave to this, he wants credit for it, and I don't blame him for that, because he did, to Trump's credit, he did want to get us out of Afghanistan. He didn't launch a full regime change and ground war in Syria. So, the dude, some of his inclinations are anti-war. You got to give him some credit there. He met with Rocket Man, which I loved. I gave him all kinds of credit when he met with Rocket Man. I think that's one of the just high points of his presidency, the fact that they did that. And Dennis Rodman was there crying. I mean, this is one of the greatest things I've ever seen. But I think, Trump's probably like, look, Zombie Joe, it's a terrible pullout. It's a messy pullout. I think it's a disaster. And I could have done so much better if I was given the chance. Okay. And the election was stolen and it was rigged and everybody knows it. You know it, Josh. I know it. Rocket Man knows it. Putin knows it. And Steven Seagal knows it. Believe me. But
yeah, man, it's a good thing.
I'll give them both credit for it, Josh. I will give Trump credit, and I will give Zombie Joe credit, because we got out. We're out of there. It's ugly. It's messy. But it was time to leave, man. 20 years is a long time to be in a country like that.
Far too long.
Doing that in the graveyard of empire.
Yep, absolutely, man. So, we're getting towards the end of the live stream. For you guys that don't know, we always do a members-only live stream after this for about between 15 to 30 minutes usually, and there's already like 30 of them on there. So if you join the channel membership, you get to watch those live. If you join the Patreon or the Subscribe Star, you will get to see those uploaded the next day, typically, and get other swag in the Discord server and all that stuff. But tell me about your show, man. Jackman Radio. What's that? What's that about? What are you doing with it?
Awesome. Yeah. Jackman Radio is a podcast I do with my twin brother, Mike, who's, his impressions are really good too. You'll have to have Mike on sometime. He does the best Joe Biden.
Oh, nice.
He unleashes Biden. It's kind of like this. He's kind of like, hey man, come on, man. Hunter, God damn it, Josh. Hunter's the smartest man I know. He's so smart. I'm so goddamn proud of him. He's been sober for 22 minutes. Okay? Hunter's a good guy. That laptop was Russian disinfo. That wasn't real. Okay? And you know what I did, Josh? I went over there and I talked to that Taliban guy with his big beard. And you know what I did? I got down on my knees and I smelled his beard. Okay? I smelled his beard and I said, you're using Pantene Pro V in that beard and I want to negotiate with you and we can have peace and secure. Jackman Radio, man. We've had this podcast going since 2015, and it's just a mix of pop culture, comedy, impressions. We've had on some pretty big people on the show. We've interviewed some really cool people. Obviously, we had Tulsi on. We had Reed's girlfriend, Marianne Williamson, on the show. I don't know, Josh, if you've seen any of the sparks that are flying on Twitter between Reed and Marianne Williamson.
You want to know how much of a grifter I am?
How much of a grifter are you?
When Justin O'Donnell and Reed were going back and forth with her, she dropped her email, and so I immediately emailed her to try and get her on Break the Cycle.
I love that fucking hustle. God, I love your hustle, Josh.
Yeah.
Dude, that's a Jackman move, man.
Yeah, you got to get it where you can.
If you can shake loose like a personal email or like an email that could lead to a booking, dude, you jump on that shit like Michael Jackson on a fucking 12-year-old.
Exactly. I got on the 30th, I got Brandy Love coming on the show, and I got hooked up. Actually, Chase Geiser is the one that helped me get that. So I have one of the number one porn stars in the MILF porn stars in the world on the show to talk about.
Oh, you're having Brandy Love.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, dude, I've wanked to her porn. I can't even tell you how many times. She's a legend, man. She's fucking awesome.
Yeah, she's coming on the show.
Chase had Anthony Schaefer. He had Anthony Schaefer on, who's like a badass former DIA guy, and then he has Brandy Love on, and then he has me on. I just felt honored, man, to be part of that threesome.
Yeah, that's a big threesome, bro.
Yeah. Reed, get Marianne Williamson on, the Crystal Lady. We've had Marianne Williamson on. We've just, we've leveraged our proximity here in the primary and our ability to connect with campaigns and stuff. So we've had on some really pretty cool guests, and Jackman Radio, man, we just like to give it to people straight. And my brother and I consume a lot of books, a lot of media, obviously a lot of food. I love food, Josh. I love carbs. But I will tell you, I have been working out with a personal trainer now for over a month, and I'm doing very well. I do actually have a personal trainer. Nice. Shout out to you, Megan. Yeah, she's been great. Dude. I'm getting my health in order. I'm down about 40 pounds, and I went 3 months without drinking beer. I like my beer, but my fiance texted me today. I went to get my hair cut. Obviously, I don't know if anybody noticed, but I didn't see you drop it in the chat that you noticed my nice haircut. No, but always fresh.
Yeah, but my fiance texted me while I was out today getting my haircut stuff. She's like, "Can we maybe do one walk a day on your days off?" And I'm like, "Okay, I'll start walking because I'm a smoker. I'm pushing 40. I'm a little fat. I don't eat good. I don't do a lot of exercising anymore. I used to, I trained MMA for 10 years. I wrestled for 14 years. I played semi-pro football up until like 4 years ago in my 30s, so it's,
oh, wow.
She's right. I think I need to start doing something and, maybe quit the smoking and
what's your wife's name?
Fiance is named Julia.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Fiance. Julia, you are a smart woman. You're a genius. You're married to a very, very handsome guy, okay? And you better be careful. I might send someone to come pick up your fiance. He's an incredible guy. But Julia is a great song by the Beatles. That was John Lennon. John Lennon wrote that about his mother. It's a very beautiful song.
Yeah.
I'm sure you know it.
I gotta break the cycle. You're right, Joshua Bond. Yeah, I gotta break the cycle, man. I used to be in really good health and really good shape, and I'm lucky to be tall. So like
How tall are you?
I'm 6'2", almost 6'3".
Oh yeah, your house. Yeah, you're not a manlet.
Yeah, no, I'm like 6'2" and a half. And I'm like 240, 245. So I'm not
hey man,
I'm fluffy.
Dude, you could fucking throw down for liberty if you had to.
And I would.
If a group of neocons and a bunch of fucking MSN watching neolib Rachel Maddow munching assholes came at you at a bar, you could fuck shit up, man. You could be like, come at these Mises guns, motherfucker.
Yeah. No, and I will. Yeah. It's funny because a lot of these manlets talk shit to me online, and then you meet them in person.
That's a phenomenon that's new to me, Josh. The notion of a manlet. Because Reed's like almost he's like 6 feet tall, and everyone's like obsessed. People are obsessed with height and like what you are in real life based on what we see here on this screen. So I'm fascinated by it. And Tom Woods didn't disappoint. He's cute. He's what is he like
small.
5? Yeah. Someone made a meme of him in Reed's pocket when the picture of them together. Did you see that?
No, I didn't. That's fucking hilarious.
That was everything.
That's so funny. But, I don't know who's shorter, him or Toad from the from the.
Oh, I met Toad too. Yeah, he's adorable too with the Tower Gang there. Yeah. Toad. Yeah, but yeah, I used to be in amazing shape. I grew up playing hockey. My dad was from Canada, so it would have been illegal for at least one of his sons to not play hockey. So I played hockey, and in my prime, man, I was fucking, I was in really good shape, and obviously I fell out of shape. And so I'm just trying to just get my weight down and eat better. And
start skating again, man. That'll shut it right off.
Yes. Yes, dude, that's part of my plan, man. I've been working out now over a month, and I go twice a week now. I have my personal trainer at her gym, and, skating. I love to skate, great cardio. But, it's one of the things, and I mentioned this on our recent Four Horsemen, that YouTube personalities or podcasters or people who are publicly out there with their face and their image, we are people. We have feelings, we have emotions. And, of course, like anything I ever put out, there's always some troll. Look at that fat fuck. Look at that fat asshole. Jackman's fucking fat. He's a pig, all this stuff. So to all those motherfuckers, I'm doing something about it.
Yeah, well, that's good. And when you do, it's gonna feel so much better too, because like when you lose the weight, you're gonna be able to like give them the middle finger, be like, now what are you gonna say, bitch?
What imperfection now? Fucking does my hair not look good? What are we talking about here?
It doesn't matter. Yeah. It doesn't matter. You're funny. You're awesome.
It doesn't really bother me, but yeah, Jackman Radio, man. I'm on all the platforms. I'm cocked on Facebook right now because of a Hillary meme I shared 2 years ago. Facebook changed their algorithms. You can't make fun of suicide anymore. I shared a meme that says Hillary Clinton has sent you a suicide request, Jesus. And they cucked me for that. But yeah, we're on Spotify, Podbean, Apple, iTunes, and we just like to let it rip, man. We can't take this whole thing so seriously. You got to laugh more, and that's the point of Jackman Radio, to think critically and laugh more.
Good, man. Well, hey, I'm a big fan. I really appreciate what you're doing. I definitely hope you'll stick around for a couple minutes so we can do the members only stream. One more time, as you sign out, give us the Alex Jones.
All right, look, folks. If we elect Hillary Clinton, we're looking at 1,000 years of darkness, folks. Look, I have documents. I got footage. I got tapes. I got everything, you name it, folks. She's at Planned Parenthood, okay? The home of Bill Gates and Margaret Sanger and eugenicists. They're down there slicing babies. They're having baby smoothies. They're down there worshiping Satan. They're doing all kinds of evil things with John Podesta. They're spirit cooking. I got the documents, folks. Infowars.com.
Eric, thank you so much, man. You just hang out for a couple minutes while I close the stream out.
It's an honor, Josh. Thanks for having me on, brother.
Absolutely. All right, guys, another awesome episode of Break the Cycle. Eric is hilarious. Go follow this man, Jackman Radio on Twitter. Check out his show. Watch him on Reed's show. I'll probably have him back on again. He's amazing. His Alex Jones may even be better than his Trump. It is really good. Very, very good. I wish I could do. I can't do impersonations at all. At all. I've always tried my whole life because I always thought people who could impersonate other people were pretty funny, and I just never was able to do it. But that's how life works. Hey, if you guys want to come and check out the after hour stream, I talk about it on every show. You know what you have to do. You hit join under any of these videos. You can join the YouTube channel. It's like $5.99 a month. You get the custom emojis that you see in the chats, the ones that are like hand-drawn by Top Lobster. You get the custom badges that you see in the chats. That cool bee. It changes colors every month depending on how long you've been a member of the YouTube channel. Or you can join the Patreon and subscribe star at /BreakTheCycleJS, where you get some other swag. All three of them will get you into the Discord server where you get the Top Lobster discounts at like 30%. It's all great stuff, man. You're supporting a good show and my 70,000 kids. So check that out. Become a member if you can. It's good. I promise you'll get some good stuff. The after-hour shows are always pretty brutal. We let our hair down and let the fist fly. It's always a good time. Coming up on the show tomorrow, we have Shane Hazel returning to the show from the Radical Podcast. It's going to be an interesting show. I know he's been dealing with a lot in the movement lately, so we'll definitely talk about that, talk about his gubernatorial run in Georgia where he is lighting things on fire and his new stance on not paying taxes anymore. And, of course, on Friday, we're going to have Jared from Hoppy.org on to trigger all the Lolberts. It's going to be rad. Definitely be there on Friday. Check it out. Guys, check out our sponsors, toplobster.com, for all your wonderful graphic design needs where you get this fuck around and find out hoodie that I'm wearing tonight. You can also get a 10% discount by using BTC at checkout. Or you can join the Patreon subscribe star or the channel membership YouTube and get a 30% discount for all new gear. And, of course, executive producer of the show, anthemplanning.com, for all your emergency and crisis planning needs. Check them out today. See what they can do for your business, home, or personal life. They're doing a wonderful job that the government has sucked at historically, much cheaper and much more efficiently. Guys, if you're still here checking out the show, please hit that subscribe button, hit that thumbs up, help the algorithm out. I will see you tomorrow night for the show with Shane Hazel from the Radical Podcast. But until then, don't forget to break the cycle.
Due to legal reasons, I just have to explain. The lyrics of my last song may seem to contain a violent call to action in the verse and refrain, but I just meant it in Minecraft. The helicopter part was in reference to GTA 5 and the things you do. So any violence you commit, I am not an excuse, because I just meant it in Minecraft. A chipper is my friend and he's constantly cold. Accusations of incitement getting totally old. Make your own choices, yeah, you have control, because I just meant it in Minecraft. Obviously I would never advocate force unless there's due process and a trial, of course. And if you're convicted, we will make you a corpse in Minecraft, just in Minecraft. Nothing I mean, you know it. No product dinners cause it closed for COVID. Holy shit, I think I'm a poet.